All right, folks, welcome back. This is the daily log entry for February 16th, 2021. All right, real quick, I have your attention, so I want to do this at the beginning of the video, and I promise I'll be very, very brief. I'm getting emails from folks that are in month one are asking when should they be making their month two payment, and I have others that have already made their month two payment saying they're missing their month two content. As I outlined in the beginning, before anyone actually enrolled, in the details, in the video I had on YouTube that people watched, and also in my email that I sent out to everyone that was interested in joining, you're paying for, with month one, the entire month of February. So if you only were going to stay here until the end of the first month's duration, you know, how much it paid for in terms of time being here, it would carry you all the way up to March 9th, 2021. If no payment is received by that date, then your access is removed. Okay? So if you made month two payment already, following the instructions that's found on the form, that payment will sit idle until we get to the 27th of February, because that's when our next billing cycle is. So when is month two content released to new members? February 27th, month two content is released to those who paid. Now I'm asking, like I mentioned this before, if it's possible for you to pay early, we ask that you consider doing it. Please do not set up automatic payments through PayPal. And the reason why is there has to be a payment note that I give you each month. It has to say the very specific things I'm asking for. If you don't send your payment with the proper payment note that I'm asking for, we do not process the payment, we refund it. And it will be subject to a $10 administration fee, which is also included in the second page of your agreement for those that enrolled. Add a member saying that, you know, you didn't say this. It's in the top of the second page. Okay. When is month number two payment due? It's due technically March 1st, 2021, and no later than March 9th, 2021. If your payment is not made for month two by March 9th, 2021, New York time, all your access will be removed. That means what you have paid to have access to, you don't have access to that just simply because you paid. It's just like Netflix. It's the reason why I described it the same way before you enrolled. Just like Netflix, if you do not pay, you cannot watch those movies. Well, the ICT Netflix doesn't make itself available to those individuals that have not paid the next month's payment. And you can't watch videos that you've already in your mind think you paid for. No, you are paying access to me each month. Okay. If you paid month two already, what happens now? Your payment will sit idle. Nothing's going to happen. You don't need to pay again. But on February 27th, the billing cycle begins, and my staff will start processing the payments in the order they were received. Okay. If you paid early, chances are you're probably just going to see at noon on February 27th, New York time, month two content will just appear in the form. If it doesn't, just hit refresh and clear your cookies. If it doesn't do it then, you may have just probably made your payment on the 27th and we haven't got to you yet in the order that the payments were received. Now, I feel kind of silly going through this, and I know some of you in here are probably thinking, like, this was obvious stuff. You made this very clear. But for some reason, there are still members that didn't see this. They didn't see it in the last video that I included about payment instructions, and they don't see the post in the month one content area on the forum that says month two payment instructions. They don't see the link at the bottom of month one content. All the way at the bottom it says instructions on how to make month two payment. Click this and click it. It gives you all the instructions. I'm adding it here, okay? And I know I'm probably annoying those that aren't paying payments anymore, but it is what it is. I have to make it available because you all are in respective user groups, and it's easier for me to just put it here, and it's common knowledge. What payment note do I need to include with month number two payment? It must say this, okay? It must say this exactly. And then in this area here, you would include the email address that you used at your enrollment. Month number three content. So you guys know, it will not be released until March 27th, 2021 to those who paid. As you might have guessed, Month number 4 content will not be released until April 27th, 2021 to those who paid. Each month, you can pay ahead and early, which helps us spread the payments out. If you are thinking you have until March 9th, so I'm just going to wait until that date, that will only help to bottleneck us, and we will be crushed with payments, and it will take us a long time to get through all of them. Okay, so be considerate if it's possible. Try to make the same payment date every single month. So whatever you paid the last time for your month 1, use that same date each month. If you do that, everything else will work itself out. But if you set up automatic payments through PayPal, that's going to be a problem because you're not including the payment note that's required. So if you set that up, and I've had some people already say, I've already set it up, it's automatically going to get taken out. Don't do that, because you're going to create a problem where you now have to pay $10 to fix an error I'm telling you that this is going to create. So don't do that. Just manually do it. I will prompt you as we get closer in the forum, but I'm not going to add it in the videos like this. But I'm just adding it here one time so you can see it and know that this is the order and the schedule, how everything's going to be released. Okay? And as you know, month number 5 content is going to be May 27th. And just keep going out until we get to charter membership level. If you fail to make your month 2 payment by March 9th, 2021, all access will be removed, as I mentioned earlier. If you make your month 2 payment after March 9th, 2021, this is considered late. It will be processed on March 27th, 2021 if it is sent with the correct payment note. If it is not received by April 1st, 2021, your account is permanently canceled and you will not be able to rejoin. No exceptions. I appreciate your patience while I went through that. Hopefully it has cleared up any confusion or uncertainties. Eurodollar 5-minute chart, February 16th, 2021. All right, so we had a buy side liquidity pool in the last update. That level is extended out in time. You can see that we did make a run of 20 pips above that. So we expanded to buy side liquidity in the form of a 20 pip sweep above an old high. It reached it during the New York Open. The run starts from London Open kill zone, rallies up, and then clears buy side liquidity. Now I want you to go and look at what we were expecting for dollar index. Okay, there was relative equal lows that I said that we would probably draw down into. That would be the next draw on liquidity. And vice versa, we see that happening here with the run on buy side liquidity for Eurodollar. Now, if we reach those objectives and they're outside of a dealing range, in other words, we're below old lows, so we're reaching into and tapping into external range liquidity, which is being seen here. This is external range liquidity in the form of buy side liquidity or buy stops. The dollar index, which I'll show more specific details, obviously because of the midweek review on Wednesday. I'm not going to include a dollar index chart here, but for your own studies, go back and look at the notes that you should have taken by watching the commentaries and in the daily logs, what we were anticipating for the dollar index. It traded down to those lows, and then we had a reaction today. So that also is a mirror image of what we see here in the Eurodollar. And then we had the market trade lower down into a fair value gap. Now this is a fair value gap that you knew about yesterday. So project that out in time. We trade down into it here. Small little bounce, and now we're consolidating. And the fair value gap on the daily chart is what we're also trading inside of. It's a larger range that's not being defined here in this chart. But London close, it just hits the low right before the beginning of London close. So we're seeing turning points here. And that's what I'm training your eye with initially. As first month students, even if you are a 2016 group member, you should be going through this mentorship with the same mindset that this is the first time for you. Okay, and you'll pick up things that you didn't pick up the first time and years ago when you went through it with me. Training your eye to see these intraday turning points is critical for you to know the beginnings of finding setups. And the lesson I'm going to include in the midweek review is where your focus should be at as a month 1 student and where you should measure your aptitude at the end of this month. So when we go into month 2, for those individuals that are progressing into month 2 and choosing to stay with us, what should you have gained from month 1? And you may not know it by watching the video tomorrow, but you want to finish the rest of your time here until March 9th, if that's all you're going to stay here for and you're not going to go into month 2. The way you measure your ability to see from an experience standpoint, what did you or what should you have gained in understanding just from 1 month be with me here, okay? Sitting down with you doing this exercise, because this is providing a basis of the foundation that you need as a student here. And if you've just been looking at this thinking, well, this is really not helping me, I'd rather have signals, because I had students also from month 1 email me straight out and say, ICT, I need signals. Well, I already told you all that this is not signals. It's not code word, come in here, I'm going to give you secret signals. That's not what this is. I'm teaching you how to do this on your own. But you have to do these things to learn how to do it. You have to condition yourself. You have to understand what it is that starts the framework for these setups to form. If you don't have this part, nothing else makes sense. I could literally put a charter membership model right in front of you, trading plan, even algorithmic theory, and you'll still blow it. You won't understand it, number one. You won't understand it. But you have to see these things here. And it may not feel like it's doing anything for you. But the first lesson in month 2, I'm going to show you how you can visually see what you've learned in month 1. But I'm going to tell you what it is that you should be focusing on if you haven't been already. So that way, when you get tested in the first lesson in month 2, you'll be able to see, oh yeah, I definitely can see what I've gained now. Whereas right now, it may not feel like you've learned anything. It's entertainment probably for you to see, yeah, wow, he's really dressing these charts up and it looks, I can see it here, it's hindsight. I don't want you fooled in thinking that that's all this is and that's the limitation to it. It's not. I'm teaching you how to track smart money. When do they operate? What does it look like? And also proving to you that IPTA exists by focusing on these intraday turning points. I'll cover that more when we get into our midweek review tomorrow. All right, pound dollar, or cable as we call it, 5-minute chart. All right, so we have the daily April 24th, 2018 order block. This is the low of that candle. So we traded up into deeper into it here, and this is the mean threshold of that daily bearish order block. Okay, so I showed you specifically what candle in the daily chart yesterday, and now using those levels, you can see what we traded up into, the mean threshold of that bearish order block. We reacted to that, traded down during the London Open kill zone, traded back up into a fair value gap with a bearish order block. Look at the bodies of these candles in here, respecting the order block and the open of that candle. Yes, we have a little bit of a tail here, small one here and here, and a little bit of movement there. But the bulk of the trading in all of these candles right here is being capped by that very candle right there. Now, why that candle? Because it's accompanied with this sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency, or fair value gap. So it's coming back up, rebalancing. And once it does that, it spends a little bit of time in London Open, trades back down in, trades to the order block here that's overlapped with that daily April 24th bearish order block. That's the low of that candle. It's hitting that, rallying up. One more time, going back up into the bearish order block. This is a reclaimed order block. In other words, it's going back up into that area. But it's happening at a time when we would not reasonably expect a whole lot of activity, because we're using these specific time elements. And I'm focusing on these initially. As you go deeper into the content with me, we get into a specific month, this will change into a different time or a different way of looking at the kill zone. But I want to train you to see what it looks like with these, okay? If I start adding more things, it's just going to inundate you even more, because there's a lot of content already. Many of you have already emailed me, said, man, this is a lot of stuff, and I'm intimidated. What do I do? Just trust me. Okay, consume the content in the order that it's given to you from the top down. Is it important for you to go through all of the commentaries back in 2016? Yes, but do them at your own leisure. The main thing is the right now content, the commentaries right now. This is me going through and pulling out all the things that you would have learned by listening to those discussions, but it's also a way of amplifying what is discussed in those daily live sessions at the time, but they're no longer live sessions anymore in 2016. So the 2016-2017 daily commentaries that I was sitting down and literally talking over top of the charts, that was me pantomiming what it would be like for you to be sitting in front of the charts, things that would come up in your mind. It wasn't me sitting down and trying to trade in front of everybody. And a lot of you that have seen those videos may be thinking to yourself, well, this is like ICT before you knew how to trade. No, I'm showing you what it would be like. This is what it would be like for you to go through the process of doing it. The things I discuss are important because I'm teaching a lot. You don't think I am, or even see that I am, but they are lessons tucked in all that commentary. I'm not trying to say, okay, right now, this is where you write down this secret thing that I'm talking about. I'm just speaking from experience. And I'm also trying to forecast a level of barrier that you're probably going to encounter at that time and what you do with it. Mindset. I got a lot of questions from folks that are asking me, hey, can you cover mindset? I'm in month 1. I'm taking trades and I just took a loss. I was surprised by Eurodollar today. And well, first of all, you're failing right there. You're failing. You're doing this all wrong because you're trying to take trades, even with a demo account. Don't do it until you know what you're doing. If you're in here with month 1 and you're trying to trade, even if you made money, please don't send me your high fives. I don't want that because I'm angered by that because it means you're not listening. You're going to be tricked into thinking you know something because you watched something in a video by me. And just by watching it or hearing it, it gives you a false sense of security. And you feel like Superman. You go out there and you you try to fly before you're ready and you crash. And then that damage psychologically is so formidable for me as a mentor to overcome. You stunt your growth. And 2016 group did that to themselves. They did not listen, and that's why these same individuals are still having problems because they have tried to trade from the beginning of the mentorship back then, and they have picked up bad habits, and they can't beat it. They can't correct that because it's ingrained. They're fearful. They're fearful of doing it again. They're fearful of, what if I do it like he says now, and I put all this effort in and I still don't get it? What a waste of time. Okay, well, waste your time not doing it and see how that works out for you. Nothing's going to change or improve until you do the things I tell you to focus on and eliminate the things that I tell you don't worry about right now. Trading is not important at this moment. Period. You have to be bored with this. Bored to death. If you're trying to say, well, you're talking too much and you're boring me, you aren't never going to be a trader. And I'm talking to the Joe, okay, that's in those chat rooms that is complaining. Oh, he talks too much. I'm bored. I'm bored because you don't know what you're doing and you're lazy. And I don't care if that makes you mad. You need to hear that. That's your issue, not my issue. That's yours. I'm telling you how to find these setups. I'm telling you where they're going to form. And I'm proving with exercises for you to go in, because this is something you're going to do in your charts every single day, the rest of your life, if you're going to be a trader. If you're not going to be a trader, then you're right. This is a waste of time. You go out there and guess. Put some indicators on your chart. Maybe you'll get lucky like I did for 9 months. And maybe you'll be smart enough to stop when you had the most money and just walk away from it all. But nobody does that. I didn't. I thought I was going to keep going up, and I was going to prove to the world I knew everything with nothing. I knew nothing. So it's important for you to submit to these things. Practicing, make this a daily meditation. It's a meditation over price charts where you just constantly annotate and you see things. already some of you are already reporting to me, and I'm asking you not to email me. And some of you just say, I know you said not to email you, but I can't help it. Okay, well, this is an exercise in discipline. Exercise discipline and don't send me emails, okay? I already know this stuff is amazing. I already know what you're learning is fun. I know. And save all of that until you get to the forum. When you can post in the forum, I would love for everyone else in your respective group to be able to see what your reaction was and talk about it. You'll have an opportunity to create a thread in the forum, and it'll be just your thread. It'll be, your little journal area where you can share all of the discoveries that you had and what it felt like. I would like to see that. Other members would like to see that. But you don't need to send me that stuff right now, okay? But many of you are reporting that you're already seeing the importance of looking at time and price like this. You already know that you're not seeing the turning points before they happen, but the benefit of seeing how it's consistently being done every single day, you can see these turning points occurring. And that is important, because if you can identify that right now, early on, everything that I give you going forward will build on that foundation. But if you don't have the belief system in the sense that the time of day element that I'm teaching you is a major factor, then nothing else is going to help you improve, because this is the most important thing. This is the reason why I have you doing it the month one, starting you right off the bat, showing you what mine look like each day, so that way you can grow in your understanding and focus on the things that are most important. There's other things in this chart that maybe you have annotated. That's okay. But if you have some of these things, if not all of them, then you're going in the right direction. That's all you need to be worried about right now. But over time, the pattern recognition and the repetitiveness of seeing it over and over and over again, it starts being ingrained in your mind. And then you'll start seeing it in charts before they paint. You'll anticipate certain things occurring because you've seen this type of thing over and over and over again for weeks. For weeks now, you've been doing it. So we have a sell-side liquidity pool here. After running up into the bearish order block and fair value gap, reclaimed order block between the kill zones, it trades down. When we get into the New York kill zone, it does what? It trades right back up into the bearish order block. These up close candles, I'm focusing primarily right on the bodies of those, or this candle specifically. That's what I'm aiming for with that line. So it trades up into that for optimal trade entry. So this is a New York session optimal trade entry inside of this level and this level, which is that April 24th bearish order block on the daily chart. That was a level I keyed off of and told you I was going to reach up into. Well, now we've seen price come out of it, come back up to a bearish premium array, and shows a willingness to do what? Isn't this displacement in price? Doesn't this show a willingness to want to go down after it goes into this level here? Yes. That's what you're training yourself to see. Early on in month one, just observe these things. You do not need to agree with everything I'm saying, because you're not going to know what it is I'm leaning on to build the case for this right now. And what is a reclaimed order block, you're asking? It's taught to you, okay? You just got to go through each month's content and then take in a little bit more lessons and let it happen naturally. It's a lot of content coming, but don't be in a rush to rush over this portion of your learning, because this is important. It's critical. If you don't do these things, you will not learn here, or you'll learn at a rushed pace, and you'll look at things that are important when they're less important than the things I'm focusing primarily on. So we have optimal trade entry here at time of day, New York open, and it drops lower. Big figure 139 here. I taught you this already in month one. I mentioned this, and you'll hear it talked about when we go into deeper lessons and in charter level. If it ever crosses a big figure level, a big figure is a 0-0 level, like 1.400. That's a big figure. 1.3800. That's a big figure. A mid figure would be 1.3950. Okay. Then you also have the 20 levels, which is 1.3920. That's an institutional level. And then you have 1.3980. That's an 80 level, or institutional 80 level. Those levels are very sensitive from an algorithmic standpoint. So you end up having like these minor turning points, which can become intermediate turning points at those respective levels. But a big figure, a mid figure, or a 20 or 80 level, they're all institutional levels. It's not important for you to have every single 20 level, every 50 level, every 80 level, every 00 level on your chart. It's too much clutter. You just need to be trained early on to look at and observe where we are in the dealing range and what levels exist. And draw attention to them if it's important, but if it's not important, don't draw any attention to it. But be always aware of what they are over here and in the scope of what you're looking at for price, because they're going to overlap many times with a PD array. A PD array is like an order block, a fair value gap, an old high, old low, breaker, mitigation block, something to that effect. But back to this big figure. If we trade down through it, and this is the same if we trade up through a big figure too, but if we trade down through a big figure, it can trade as much as 40 pips through a big figure. That's acceptable, okay? Generally, it's 10 to 30 pips. And what I've annotated here is, just like I said on the euro dollar, now we're showing it with a run lower on the British pound, where we have a 30 pip run below the big figure. It went 30 pips here, and it touches and closes the discount low, the fair value gap on the 15-minute time frame that I showed you yesterday. Hits that ahead of the London close time period. It makes the low of the day and then rallies sharply back up to the bearish order block here. So that's another area where it's a reclaimed order block. It senses to that level, comes back down in, trades to what level? Big figure, bounces back up into that daily April 24th bearish order block low, and it's hanging around in here and goes into consolidation. By looking at this every single day and focusing on these tiny intraday price moves, even if you cannot trade these, okay, I had a fellow email me say, hey Michael, I only have this type of time available to me in the day, and it's really outside of all the kill zones. Like it's a weird time period for him to be able to say, I'm able to sit down in front of my chart and trade. So in all transparency, I said, look, maybe you would probably be best suited to trade on a daily and or 4-hour chart. And you don't need to be watching price action minute by minute with that type of model. It takes a lot of discipline, but it's still possible. And I traded that way when I was a working man back in the 90s. So when I was doing the vending business, I was trading basically a daily chart, but using the previous day's hourly chart. And I was waiting for the sessions to start trading in the futures pits. I would know what that time was, and I would have a Quotrek machine, which was like a little, radio, basically. It was kind of like the dimensions of maybe an iPhone or a Galaxy Note today. It was very similar in terms of the dimensions, how thick it was and how big it was in your hand. It just had an antenna, like an old FM AM radio. You just pull the antenna up. I had that duct taped to my work truck windshield. I would literally look at that all day long, but I would be literally holding it in my hand, waiting at when the bond market would open up, when the grain market would open up, when the S&P market would open up. So I had in my mind what I anticipated seeing as an opening price. I didn't know where it would open, but when it opened, it gave me that idea that I teach you all with the Sunday weekly gap opening. If I'm bullish, I want to see it gap up and then come down, fill the gap, and then run higher. If I'm bearish, I want to see it gap down and go up, fill the gap, and run lower. Well, that same premise I use on an intraday basis. And you can do that as a position trader, but you need to be made available at the time of the market opening. And as a futures trader, that's important. But as a Forex trader, you just got to be able to look at your chart at key times, like 8:30 in the morning New York time. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in front of the chart all day long. I don't care if you have a job, if you're running a business, if you're in school or whatever. Everybody has the ability to pull up their phone and look at where a market's trading at 8:30 in the morning New York time. Everybody can do that. If you're sleeping, you can set an alarm. Okay, I did those things, but you're going to make sacrifices. You're going to have to, and if you can't, then maybe trading isn't for you. Okay, and that's That's it. Do I teach ways for you to trade without having that? Yes. But you're going to have a whole lot of uncertainty. You're going to have a whole lot of learning curve ahead because you're trading with larger time frames. And if it doesn't pan out for you, you have to wait a while before the next one. So that's why I don't trade like that. And I don't teach that heavily, because no one would have the confidence or the patience, really, and me included at the top of that list, to endure teaching that time frame. So this is the reason why we are all looking at a 5-minute chart. Whether you want to be a 5-minute trader or not, you're learning price with this time frame, because it teaches everything that you would apply to a hourly chart, a 4-hour chart, an 8-hour chart, a daily chart, a weekly chart, a monthly chart. This is all the same stuff, but it's highly specific because it's showing you the importance of the time element each day, and when the algorithm overlaps with these key times and what you anticipate. Okay, so the question is going to be is how could you have avoided, because I had a member email me because I got burned this morning on ICT with Eurodollar. Is there any way that we could have avoided this? Well, I'm going to cover that in midweek review, but you already knew what the dollar was reaching for. So if it's going to reach into those relative equal lows, what can happen in that instance? And I'll teach a little bit about that tomorrow in our midweek review. Until then, be safe.